money. We've got hopefully the plan design will be done within about next 3-4 weeks. We've got a conversation this Wednesday with TxDOT. TxDOT is starting on the construction of Highway 6 and I-45 in August of this year. So you're gonna see a lot of construction around this area. We're talking to them about incorporating some of the stuff we need to have to where you get more flow in Bio Vista, more flow at the back of it, more flow so you get water through it, more flow through Omega Bay. So flow can solve a lot of issues. Flow is the life of ecosystem because it brings in oxygen. Without flow, you have dead zones, you have fish kills, you have a dead ecosystem. We're focused on getting an ecosystem renewed. So we're putting information on the website. We will talk about the Facebook. We're trying to communicate with that. Roy and I are on all the meetings together. So there's no singular here. We're doing that great. And we've got Rice University, which is the leading designer for flow analysis done by the state of Texas. And we've got Texas A&M Galveston, who does the ecosystem, and we've got Texas A&M at College Station helping to do the design of the weirs. So colleges are helping us. We've got those in our support. And I'll keep you updated on the website, what we're doing. Right now, everything's still preliminary, but we're really working hard to get this thing done within the next 2 or 3 years. Number 8, we're gonna put on hold because there were some questions I've got to answer within Texas A&M before we can address that.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. I mean, what I asked for was to give her, the item for number 8 on the agenda was the person at Texas A&M Galveston, and I found out this week that politics is politics. I can't give it to her. We gotta go through a procedure, a qualification, paperwork, all kinds of stuff to even do that. So we can't address that at this time. So, next item on the agenda is Lydia, bookkeeper report, and in reading through the book, it's a great one, because we've got money in the bank, and we're doing fine.
For year-to-date, we're 7 months into the fiscal year. Our total revenues so far are just a little over $1 million, and our budget for this time period is a little over 800, so we're 200,000 to the good on that, mostly due to property taxes. Our water operations are 150,000 against the budget that is slightly less than that, so we are ahead of the game on water operations. On sewer, we've got about 187,000 and our budget's 188, so we are right on. Operating expenditures is 198 and our budget's 196, we're just a couple $1,000 over that. And those are mostly attributable to one-time, once-a-year expenses that will get caught up as we move in the budget. Administrative expenses are $245 against a budget of $207, so we're about $38,000 over on that. And again, attributable to the one-time things, insurance and that type of thing, which will get caught up before we get into the end of the year. So our total operating expenditures are $811, so we have a year-to-date to the good of $212,000. We do have 2 transfers out of the tax account, 75 going into the general fund and 15 going into the debt service. This represents collections for February, March, and April. We waited so that we can get the April tax assessor's report. So we are now caught up in terms of recognizing the revenue and with April coming in the financial statements that you see today.
Okay, we'll approve those. just so everyone's aware, the state requires us to have 3 or 4 different accounts. One for the tax money to go in, one for the general revenue to go in, another for the capital business to go in. And we have to make transfers in and out of the accounts to keep the flow going based on how the money's received. So it's nothing more than a normal procedure of transferring tax dollars from the tax account into our general revenue account so we can use it. That's the items we have to approve, okay? Okay, so we've already signed the transfers, right? So, okay, all right, next item on the agenda, thank you, Lydia. If you want to leave, you can go to leave. Thank you. Randy, operators report?
Do they get the vote?
Have to approve the transfer.
Never
Approve
took the vote.
transfer.
Oh, for the transfers, okay. All right. The financial report given by Lydia, which includes blank transfers, payment of monthly bills. Is there any questions? We have a motion to accept. Motion to accept by Roy,
I
second
second.
by Newman. All in favor? Aye. Motion approved. The bookers report's approved. Thank you, Lydia. Next item on the agenda is Randy. Randy's the 70-year-old wonder that's been in our plant for years.
Okay. The water treatment plant for March the 13th, 2020 through April the 13th, 2020. We purchased from Gulf Coast Water Authority 6,091 mg. The well, I ran 14,000 out of it for a total of 6,105 mg. Billed by Mud 12 was 5,856, which gave us accountability of 96%. The total monthly purchased water was 5,740 mg. The average daily was 0.185 mg. The maximum was 234 mgd. The minimum was 140. The number of connections from March the 13th, 2020 through April the 13th, 2020, Bayou Vista had active of 1,224, vacant 74, for a total of 1,321. Omega Bay had 265 active, 7 vacant, and 272 total. The total active would be 1,489, vacant was 81, for a total of 1,593. The chlorine monitoring residual was 1.26. Okay.
All right, very good, Randy. We have the rest of the reports in the book, just about that in flow. Any questions to Randy concerning the operating report, the vehicles? Motion to accept operating report by Roy, second. Newman, all in favor? Aye. Thank you, Randy.
Thank y'all.
Just FYI for you, we purchase our water, no, Randy, go ahead. We purchase our water from the Gulf Coast Water Authority, which is up in Texas City, as well as Galveston, as well as all the old surrounding areas. They purchased it from the Texas Water Rights Commission, which is a part of the Texas TCEQ. So that's all portion of the state water that we use. So we purchase
Well,
water.
it's not, it's not part of the TCEQ, but
Yeah.
it's, yeah,
Same bunch of people.
I know.
Okay.
So,
It's all surface water?
Okay,
Surface water?
are they only providing surface right now? Yeah. Yeah. It's one of our WA.
next item is Bill Manning, our engineer. Bill, would you tell us?
Okay, this update on the TxDOT project on 6 and 45. We got another utility meeting scheduled for May 20th to be held via WebEx. We'll be participating. We have reviewed the drawings and have notified them that there is no conflict with the 8-inch water line in their project. They requested an official letter of no conflict, which we'll be issuing later this week. I'm working with Sharon on the records from AEI, and that's the general on the wastewater treatment plant. working with, Michael on the third-party engineer on the, plant performance. As you recall, at the last meeting, there was an incident on April 19th where we had the brown plume coming out in the canal. We indicated then we would check into that and look for potential causes. We discussed possibility of coming out of the plant. We discussed possibility of issue with the pipeline. So the simplest thing to check, and we felt was the most critical, was to evaluate the plant performance during that period. When you have a large brown plume like that, if it's coming from the plant, it's due to a major washout, which means you lose a huge amount of your biosolids or solids inventory in the plant. Well, we went and checked weekly. Your lab comes and not only takes your influent and effluent samples, but they take process samples. That gives you a measure of what kind of solid inventory you have in the plant. The incident in question, it was on the April 19th. On April 16th, the solids level in aeration 1 was 1,390 milligrams per liter. Aeration 2 was 1,350. April 23rd was the next retest. There was 1,520 in aeration 1 and 1,550 in aeration 2. So 2 went up by 200 milligrams per liter. 1 went up 130 milligrams per liter.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
The organic concentration was about the same, 71.2 to 71.8, 71.9 to 73.1. What that indicates is that you didn't lose a bunch of solids out of that plant. If you had and it regrew, solids. Basically, in your plant, you have the microbial population. That's what gives the plant its brown color. It's similar to the microbes you have in dirt. They're concentrated, and that's what treats the raw sewage that's coming in. You have a certain amount of biomass, or solids in this case, in the plant. So you have, the organic part of it is what's doing the work. You have some inorganic, just like any living organism, you got organic, inorganic. If you lost a huge amount of the population, one, you would not see that growth and increase that you typically see just because it's a living process. And for some reason you did, your biological organic percentage would be way different. So what this tells me is that large plume was not from the plant. It's from something in the pipeline, which is the other thing we considered. And I don't know if you recall back in January, December, when we finished up our initial evaluation of the plant, one of the comments we had, I know we all kind of focused on the screen, but we had some concerns then about there's a possible obstruction or issue with that effluent pipeline. So it's very possible we had some buildup or we have a break in that line where we're getting dirt or other material in, or like I said, buildup from the tidal action. And at some point, we definitely need to, I think, check that, run a camera. Unfortunately, it's not going to be a very easy process because there are not many access points on that line. But looking at the reports, looking at the solids inventory in the plant, to me, it's pretty apparent it did not come out of the plant. Which, looking at the pictures and the type of clumping, it just is not typical of what you would see in a washout. I don't know if y'all are aware, but I spent a fair amount of time doing technical assistance for the state, going out and helping plants that are having serious problems. So I've seen my share of washouts. I've seen plants in dire trouble and dumping horrific effluent. And, so, you know, I looked at the things that would be telltale signs at this plant of that happening, and I don't see it. So, I wanted to make you aware of that. Next item on the fine screen, I'd say about 90%. Next phase, we're going to get the electrical done, which should be fairly minimal. It's just going to be the conveyor compactor. We're working on which one's going to work the best for us. We like one model, but it's just the geometry is just not very good for it. So we may have to go with more conventional screw conveyor compactor. We're hoping to have a package ready for approval at the June meeting to go out for advertising. And also, we've got to, as discussed earlier, we've got to submit to TCEQ, get approval. And, you know, it's something we could probably request a quick review on because of the issues that we're having. Well, this kind of goes to item 5 of my report. You know, we're going to have comments back to AEI on the clarifier. Y'all want to look at combining those projects or do separate projects? The reason I ask is, I'm like you, I really like what K2 has been doing. I'm not sure that they have the capability of the clarifier. It's something I can talk to them about, and we can factor that into our decision. So that would be, if that's kind of out of their wheelhouse, it may be that we want to keep the projects separate. Yeah.
They do the clarifiers they've done in Texas City and all that, so you don't speak to Junior, I'll tell you that he's done it and everything.
Okay.
I think, Bill, there's some procurement issues.
Yeah,
we
so
gotta
that's to be
deal
bid
with
out.
here.
Yes, yeah, so that's to be bid.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I understand.
we can't tag that on.
Right.
We can't tack that on to the current project. I mean, K2 is welcome to bid on it.
Right, that's what I'm saying, but what's consideration is, if they're not capable of doing that part of it, do you want to automatically exclude them from bidding because they don't have the capability? That would be the option
I
of,
mean, okay, fair enough.
so,
Also, you and I need to talk about the way this is gonna be financed, cause it's not out of operating.
right,
That's not the long-term plan. So we need to discuss the financing, how it's structured, and when we issue the remaining amount of the authorized bonds, what that'll be used for, whether we're still using the existing funds on this. And I just haven't seen a summary of it since you've come in, and we just haven't talked about it.
right. No,
But
and
if
yeah,
they're happy with K2, I would love for them, if we know that they are doing good work out there, they
No,
need
it-
to be a top choice. But
well, it's going to be a dollar amount that's going to have to be bid. It's going to be over 75.
exactly.
So it will have to be advertised and bid, regardless
Just
of
wanted
whether
to
or not
make
it's
that clear,
combined.
that we're not, for the board,
Right.
for the board members, we're not tacking this on to any ongoing project. So.
No, I
just
mean,
wanna
basically,
make
they're two new projects. Like I said, it's just, like I said, I bring it up as something to start thinking about.
Okay,
Obviously, we're not making a decision tonight on that.
yeah.
Okay.
Thank
All right, wastewater treatment plant temporary screens, as it's pretty well already been discussed by Roy. We've got 2 screens out there. We've got them set up so they receive flow and direct it to the 2 treatment trains individually, which I think is helping with the flow splitting as well. And they seem to be doing great. I'm actually very impressed with them. Those screens are probably designed around 200,000 flow. We're able to put about 500,000 through them. I mean, obviously, we got to set it up to catch what overflowed, I mean, not overflowed, but basically comes off the end. That's, and I think our way we situated them, that's been,
We enlarged the screens too, so now that they don't have to come in at night and clean it or anything.
made them deeper.
Yep.
Okay.
We do it once a day, but on the weekends we have to do it at 5:30 or 6.
Okay. So, but I think overall, for what was readily available that we could get, I've been very pleased with what they've done. And then last time we just touched on the clarifier rehab. Are we getting comments back to AEI on a couple of items on their design? And then we'll be using our front-end documents with that project, which is a pretty easy switch. But as far as the technical design, it's a pretty simple project with the rehab of those 2 units.
Okay,
So that's all I've got, unless y'all have any questions. Thank you.
thank you, Bill. Any questions? Okay, motion to accept the report. Roger, second, Roy, all in favor? Aye, okay. Next is the,
Can I pose a question? I'd like to interrupt. You mentioned the video,
Richard, he's asking a question.
and
and it was reference to videoing that line for effluent. It may not be typical or, but if there was concern about what's coming out, then, and was there a washout or not, I think the board needs to consider the possibility of videoing that line as soon as possible, see what the cost may be, to ensure that that's not the cause.
And yes, we've discussed that, and we said before we could video the line, we need to get the screens in, get everything kind of calmed down. So it's on the list to do. It's just a matter of, we need to correct some other stuff first before we can do that. We've all looked at that and said, okay, that's right, that's true, it's on the list. But it's not
Well, it sounded like it was a new proposal when he mentioned that possibility, so I wasn't sure.
No, we've already talked about it last meeting,
Okay.
and most of our, it was one-on-one with the directors. The problem is just access, and we've got to figure that out.
Understand.
don't,
Thank you.
okay, the next item on the agenda is this is necessary for any mud during this time of year. We have to renew 3 contracts for the emergency preparedness in case there's a hurricane again. Crowder Gulf, renew that one. Pre-persistent contract with Warner Environmental, which we had last year. And also approve the Republic Waste to handle the temporary toilets. So it's more or less of just approving these contracts as we had last year for the preparedness for in case there's a disaster. That's where we go. We have a disaster declaration, and in some cases our building can be used as the staging point. So it all depends on the disaster declarations because we're in Galveston County. So any questions about the 3 contracts? All right, have a motion to accept or to renew the 3 contracts as laid out in our manual. Motion by Roger, second by Roy, all in favor? Aye, okay. Next is the attorney's report from Mr. Beckett.
We sent out, as I mentioned earlier, one thing I want to just let y'all know, we sent out a little blast, and AWB did it as well. It's essentially a 3rd training component for all board members, and if you have any staff of the district that, which you guys do, they're now going to be required to do a cybersecurity training course. It's give or take an hour long. We can be done online. It's similar to any, like I compare it to your open meetings and open records training that you have to do as board members, because it's essentially going to be that going forward. The deadline is for doing it is June 14th, but we're not worried about it. I'll send you a list of AWBD's free course just came out May 8th. Okay, very recently. And we've been tracking this since early January when the cost of these courses was $100, $200, live training, multiple hours, getting everybody together. And now the cost of the alternative courses other than AWBD is, we're going to recommend it. Of course, it's $12.50. And another one that's now $13 or $13.50. And then it's just, you guys can, we'll send you that information if you need any help. Sign on, we'll guide you through it. And then it'll be a certificate or an attestation that you'll provide to us, and we'll keep it in the records and prove you comply. And then as far as your staff is concerned, anybody with access to a computer is the rule. Generally, we're recommending it to any office staff that you have, and it will drop it in the file, and that'll complete that compliance issue. But we were talking, the courses started rolling out kind of turn of the year, and we've been talking to at least 3 or 4 providers this whole time, and we saw that price drop coming, but now, once everything's available online, it's a much better program. If you guys have any questions about that, please let me know. Otherwise, I don't think I have anything specifically to discuss with you other than an executive session later. Unless you guys have any questions for me right now. We already covered the election matters and things like that, so you guys have any questions for me now?
Nope.
All right.
Okay. Thank you. We're open now for public comment before we adjourn the special session, so public comment for about 5 minutes, and you get so you have 3 minutes each. On a public comment, the board can or cannot reply based on what we want to do. That's what we do.
Barbie Miller, 194 Barracuda. Since I think 5 or 6 times tonight we've heard about overuse. The house next to me at 193 Barracuda has had a leak out in the driveway, so significant that it just runs across the street and keeps the entire ditch wet in front of the house. I know I came and talked to Sharon months and months and months ago, and I think Randy was in there at that day and said that the seller wanted to be there when it was going to be fixed. And so he was contacting her, and then they marked the flags and all that stuff. Well, then time has gone on, and then I checked back not too long ago, and I was told it's fixing to be fixed again. So now all the flags are out there marked again. But my neighbor on the other side just told me that she talked to her and said it's not going to be fixed for a while. So,
Coming in tomorrow.
oh good, thank God, because it's like slimy out there on the street from the ducks.
We're
And
trying to do it today.
my grandson slipped in the slime from the ducks.
We'll
Oh,
try our best to get it this week.
thank you. But also I'm glad Lou is here because he's, as the mayor, since we're talking about the overuse, I am on the ordinance committee with the city. So I've learned a tremendous amount about being on something like this and plus being on a committee and the ordinances. And one of the ordinances that the city struggles with so much is the short-term rentals and people renting out the bottom of their homes. So, and as I learned from being on the committee, one of the reasons behind that, and also as far as people having trailers in their yard that people plug in and use, is because of the overuse on our sewer system. So, and that's why you're not supposed to rent out the bottom of your homes and stuff. I didn't know why, but that's what I've learned. So, I think now that we know that this is an issue and more people are being home, it might behoove the city to get with y'all to kind of get those comments, because from what I'm understanding at city council meetings is they're issuing tickets to the people that are renting out parts of their home they're not supposed to, but they're finding loopholes with the judge. And now that we're knowing we have a whole board sitting here talking about overuse, that might help the city. So Lou, maybe he can get involved with that.
If you wouldn't mind me, maybe not a direct response. The Attorney General just issued an opinion on renting out your home.
Oh, good.
In this exact context. Well, not so good.
I mean, I don't care what it is. I just, whatever it is, it's
my
just,
office, I've got a memo on it. We drafted
Right.
it this week as a summary. I'll send it to the board, and if you guys want to post it online, or Lou,
well, yeah, because that's a city
if you would
thing.
like it.
Yeah.
We drafted up a memo summary of it, and essentially, the governor intervened to say, and it's in regards to, more specifically, governmental orders restricting the right to rent properties exactly like here.
Oh, what you're talking about? Because I know that one of
And
the
so,
things I've
and-
learned on the ordinance is is I guess we're a single-family residence, so some people were renting out the bottoms of their homes or something.
Right, and
And
this
that's
is
what-
Airbnb and stuff, you know, and that kind of thing. And so the governor issued, sorry, not the governor, I apologize, the attorney general issued a AG opinion. And it's a guiding opinion. That is not the same as a judge's or Supreme Court of Texas or anything like that opinion or a governor's order. It's a legal guidance opinion from the Attorney General of the state of Texas, and it is, I think, it's going to be exactly on point to this. And it
Good.
reserves the right of the homeowner to rent their property. And there can be, essentially took the position that there can be no infringement on the property owner's
Right,
rights.
because I know the city was
But that would
preparing for
help
that
make
or some sort
decision. Yeah.
with, trying to figure out permitting or something of all that. Y'all were talking about,
Yeah.
or they were talking about
I
that.
can share that with you, Lou, and if you guys,
But I'm glad y'all talked about the overuse, because I know that that's what I learned on the committee, is the
Yes.
people renting out downstairs. Then you've got two families living in a house and you're overtaxing the system, I guess, so.
and there
I
might
don't
be a way
understand
to
it much
still
about it.
limit the rentals.
Right.
But this will be.
Well, I'm
some
out of all
guidance,
that. I'm
and,
just when y'all were talking about the overuse, I was thinking, gosh, that's what I've learned. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Well, I would like to get a clarification. I thought in the beginning of the meeting you stated the capacity of the plant is 500,000 gallons a day?
Can't hear. They can't put the microphone up.
You hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I thought I heard you say that the capacity of the plant was 500,000 gallons a day?
I'll refer to the engineer.
400,000
But we're,
average daily flow.
but we're currently using 200,000 was said, 225?
What are you speaking of? Say it again, I'm sorry.
Are we at full capacity of the plant?
No.
Okay, then why do we keep hearing that the plant's being overused?
Because we're being, at night, then we're using more water than what we did before. We were running around maybe 180,000 gallons a day, okay? Now, at night, you can go and look at the flow meter, and it's running about 250 to 290,000 just for a short period. So it is getting used at night more than what it has been, okay?
Now, what are you gonna do after Memorial Day when everybody's got visitors?
We're
And,
doing fine
I mean,
right now.
you're gonna be in
Like I
bad
say,
shape.
We're just asking for people to conserve a little bit of it.
Okay. I've also, the flushable wipes, baby wipes, flushable wipes. Other locales in the United States have outlawed them. I would think that's a problem and it's damaging equipment. Maybe that's something y'all can do. So, nah, it ain't happening here.
There's
Yeah.
no really effective way to, when you say outlaw it, unless we're sitting there saying, you know, having a policeman go in their house and say, we see you have these.
I
So,
understand
mean, we can
that,
tell- we've-
but
we've
I
seen- yeah.
understand that.
Yeah.
But if you put something in writing,
We actually have, we sent out leaflets.
We have
uh,
3
the-
times.
okay.
I've been screaming.
And, well,
that-
I've not seen that. I've not heard of, I did hear something
It's
once,
been
but
in Vista Views.
y'all, again, the communication thing. Okay, my last deal is, we all out here feel some urgency with whatever's coming out of that pipe, and then I hear this screen is not gonna be ready till September. That's 4 months from now. I work in a industry where I sell.
Work in industry, exactly.
That sells engineered products,
Municipality.
designed products, and I can
Yes.
get something from China quicker than you're doing that. So I'm curious, why is it taking so long to get this
You
screen?
work in industry, you just said so. It's a municipality, we have a whole separate amount of rules we have to.
That's what I'm
abide by.
asking. I'm asking why.
Okay, we have to get the design, we have to submit for approval, 30 days, okay? Then we have to advertise the project. We can't just go out, just like Mr. Bates talking about, and say, you, go do this, okay? So it gets advertised, 30 days, okay? Comes back for board approval, contracts, 30 days.
Okay,
Then you gotta order it, submittals have to come in, have to be reviewed, project takes time.
okay, has it been ordered?
We haven't finished the design yet. That's what, if you listen to my report, I said I'm hoping to have the design
I
ready.
tried to listen, and just like people asked me to speak up, I couldn't hear you very
Okay.
well. I
In my
wear
report-
hearing aids, and I turned them up 3 times already, so, okay. I'm trying to learn here, because
Okay.
I don't want to just come up and bite you out. You have an unthankful job, and I do want to thank y'all for what you're doing. I don't want you to think I'm not thankful. I am. I'd rather y'all be doing it than me. but I'm not happy with what comes out. I'm not happy with the stuff growing on my bulkhead. I'm not happy with, I can't use my bait well at the house. I'm unhappy that I need to get in the water and I don't dare do it because I see nasty stuff in it and I'm not gonna get in that water. I need to fix my dock. So I gotta wait on y'all. And September seems like a long time to wait. So how much longer will it be until your design's done?
As I stated in my report, I'm hoping to have the design ready for approval at the next meeting. Then we have to figure out the funding for that, which we talked about how we're gonna do that.
Okay. Not happy with it, but that's what it is.
That is municipality versus industry. I'm sorry, that's the way it is.
And I'll say one thing to be through, as Roger said in his opening comments about the way he's working, everything is public monies. We cannot do a damn thing until the state says yes, period. Nothing. And that's what Mr. Manning said. We can draw the best plans, we can draw the best stuff, until the state says, okay.
Are you allowed to declare some kind of emergency to speed the process
We-
up or
we-
circumvent something?
We did, and that's how we brought in these two screens. We got approval from Mr. Bacon because of emergency declaration to do that. But we can't do everything with emergency. We're not allowed by law, that we'll all get thrown in jail. So we have to follow the rules of the funding.
I apologize, maybe I missed it, but the temporary fine screens that got put in, that's the plan design is about the permanent fine screens going into September, so that's correct, right?
Yeah,
So we've got what I mean by that is, there's other work that's gonna be done as well on the, Clarify rehab project at the sewer plant, but, we just got temporary fine screens put in. So then the permanent ones will come in and layered, and there will be some additional work in September. But we should have some immediate results now, and then the permanent results being in September, but we should be seeing some results now.
yeah, we're already seeing it in the plan.
Right, and so I hope that is some comfort for you, because I apologize, as Bill stated, about the process. You know, it's government work, and you know, I know the old jokes too.
Should or should not people be getting this water in their nose or mouth? Should they be swimming in the canals?
Do you have any reason, operator, engineer, any reason to believe this is not
'Cause the stuff
proper
growing-
effluent for the
stuff
canals?
growing in my live well that's never grown there before, it's really nasty looking. It isn't green, it's brown.
So I'm not kicking the can to you guys. I'm saying,
No,
is there any test result, or is there any reason to believe that the effluent is
No, it's just,
not the proper quality?
no.
Okay. Now that's not definitive. That's just, these are the experts we have. These are the licensed guys we have, and that's about the results we have. The quantifiable results we have.
More question?
I just have a question, because I've been coming to the med meetings when we could, and I've been listening to everything, and I understand all the construction and everything. I'm Georgia Sharp, 12 North Mega. And is the mud testing the water periodically? I mean, is it under their job description to do that, or do you have to have a health department or the TCQ or whoever? Because I don't know all the
It's a fair
whys and
question.
wherefores.
Fair question, and we could answer it, but
Randy, Bill?
who wants to answer it? Since
I'll
it's-
answer it.
Yeah, your guys' job.
We have an effluent discharge permit that's issued by the state. The state sets the parameters of that permit. We are required for this particular facility to sample the effluent and test it every week.
You guys?
Yeah,
Okay.
for things like BOD, TSS,
Right.
not E. coli anymore, it's,
So therefore, I never hear go ahead,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, so that we have weekly.
Uh-huh.
Randy has to do chlorine residual daily.
Okay,
There's other process tests that we do that are not required by the permit, but
Right.
it's just good operating practice.
right.
You know, that's when I was talking about the solids level in the plant.
Right.
That's part of our process control. We also measure what's coming into the plant. And then, you know, we do things like DO, and then also on the effluent, it's, like BOD, TSS, pH, dissolved oxygen, that we monitor it. And then we use basically an independent lab. They come in, they're the ones that take the samples, they're the ones that test it, they're the ones that report the results. We take those results, we put together what's called a monthly DMR, and that gets submitted to the state.
Okay, well, so what I'm saying here is that, you know, people are concerned, and I would be concerned if it was coming out in my canal, but if you guys are testing it, there would be a big red flag, and Randy would say something to the board, and then the board would notify everybody, and then something would be done about it, right?
It would also be reported to the state.
Right,
And then there's a process for violations. There's both self-reporting of our DMR, and that's, you know, Bill, I know the abbreviations, but I won't go
Yeah,
back over
yeah.
all of them. But those are different testing components. So there's both in-house testing that is required. We do a little bit of above and beyond, as any, you know, person worth his salt would do. And then the TCEQ actually comes in randomly,
right,
without, not upon request, just random testing,
which they should.
which can happen at any time and does.
You also have the health department.
Yeah, health
Right.
department, and that's testing more on out the pipe, and there are additional processes in there as well. But that DMR that shows up as a violation notice that we have to send to the state, and then they're pretty quick to respond about what type of violation it is, and whether that's a notice that has to be sent directly to each resident, whether that's a notice that has to be posted immediately. And I'm not aware of any violation notice that we have been required to post recently. Okay, I'm seeing heads shaking, but I'm not aware of any. But that would happen,
But that's
not
what I'm saying.
automatically, but it would happen.
Right.
by
You
the
guys
board,
are
process.
monitoring it weekly, every other week, whatever.
Yes.
Locally, plus the state people are coming in and doing their thing too. So it's not like the board is just like dropping the ball and not doing anything.
I would agree with that statement, but that's not my position to say.
I understand. That's all I had to say,
Thank you.
or ask.
Go ahead.
Okay, I just have a quick, I don't even know what a screen is, okay, so.
Each one of us got 3 minutes, because we do have some other business to
Okay, I
take
don't
care of
even
in
know what a
executive session.
screen is, so none of that makes sense to me. I just know I live on the water, I wanna get in the water, I'm scared to get in the water, I won't let my grandkids in the water. And I guess my question, and I think probably everybody's, is what are the brown chunks coming out? Why are the ducks and fish chewing on it and eating on it? Ducks don't eat mud, so it can't be mud that's being released off the pipe. What are they, what just, I need somebody to tell me what it is and help me understand what that is. And why does it smell like sewage to the people that are at the end of that pipe? But then on the day that the TCEQ comes and the health district, the water's not the brown chunky, it's clear water. Somebody just explain that. I mean, we have videos of it, so I'm just trying to, that's all I wanna know. I don't care who explains it, I just want the answers to that.
We had one fine screen in April, we had the second one installed last week. Fully installed, fully running, and if you look at the picture on the very back, you'll see what debris in the catcher.
In 30 seconds or less, can you explain what a screen is?
I'm telling you, if you see debris in the catcher, this was caught not a day, this was 2 hours worth. We are catching the stuff that caused all that stuff because the screen didn't catch it. That's why we.
I'll give a short attempt, that 1 cent attempt, there are multiple components to a wastewater system, but that first flow that comes in, there's different types of screens there before it hits a first tank process, aeration base, and it starts some treatment, and then there's a fine screen before it hits what's called a clarifier tank. The big round thing, that's a clarifier tank. That's where treatment and solids really settle to the bottom, and the only thing that can get out that end pipe is creeping over the top on a perfectly level, we call them weirs that are adjusted to keep that top of that tank perfectly level. And so only water, liquid, only liquid can creep over that. And that's why we know that there's no chunk of human excrement that creeped over something that only a droplet size of water can creep over. There's no way that a human chunk of excrement could get out there before then it goes into a chlorine basin for a splash of additional treatment, before then it goes into the effluent pipe, which is a long pipe full of, an older pipe, full of sand and sediment, which if the ducks are eating anything, it's just from old, it's not just mud, it's old stuff in there. And there might be bacteria and other stuff that they eat, and I've seen chicken eat rocks before too. But
So does that pipe need to be
But-
cleaned?
but
Like
that-
y'all need to hire somebody to come?
well, it would increase the outflow, but it's not part of the treatment system. So it would increase, if it ever got to where it was backed up, and like Bill said when he came in and did an assessment, if that blocked and caused a backup into the treatment part, then yeah. But it just wasn't to that point, but he thought the flow was a little low, but doing work in there changes the pressure going out, starts breaking up some of those clumps, and that's what we think those clumps were. That's what we think some of that really brown cloudy water, when you saw it trickle and then you saw it gushing, that's a really big change in pressure due to the construction being done at the plant. And as far as the fine screen, that's before the clarifier, and I don't want to say anything technically wrong, but just take me at my word. That is one of the early phases, is that fine screen getting out any of the large objects, we'll call them, that can come in to the plant. But that's one of the many phases that would not allow any clump of anything. And if you saw me, I had one, what I think was slightly a misquote in the reporter's article, but he used one word. I said, an impossibility. And but the context of what I said was the impossibility that a chunk was human excrement. Because it is an impossibility that there was a chunk of feces that came out of that pipeworks. There are too many levels of blockades, physical blockades, that if there was dirty excrement, it would be liquid. It would not be a chunk of anything. And so that is what that quote is in regards to. And I know I went too long there, Richard, but as layman's understanding, that's what this is. And so some of the detail work is about how we know that it wasn't even dirty effluent. That's what the solids test that Bill was talking about. We know it wasn't cloudy from solids in the clarifier because the solids stayed in the clarifier. We could prove that. Heck, there were more solids after the rush, which means there was a pressure change in that last system. And in between the clarifier and that effluent pipe is a whole chlorination basin, which is like a zigzag where there's, spraying it, injecting a final dose of chlorine to make it type 2 is what they call it, effluent. Type 1 effluent you can water your lawn with. So what's coming out is probably just crud in that back end system. It is not what is happening in the treatment components.
But what is that crud in that back end system composed of?
Sediment, backflow.
What is sediment composed of?
Technical answer, but there is. It's a tidal effluent line, so there is every night when it floods, water will get up there and sand will develop. You can also crack that pipe, and so you could have right now, if there's a crack in that pipe, rainwater and
Draining a ditch.
yeah, exactly. Like a drainage ditch just rushing in, and you could be seeing clumps of somebody's yard going into it.
I would like to see the
That's-
test
yeah.
one of those clumps, one of those chunks that's coming out. Capture one of those, test it, see what's actually in it.
I don't know of a test like that, but maybe Bill does. But also that's why the televising, when they televise it, it'll be looking for breaks in the line. And also televising, we only call it televising. They also jet line it when they're in there and clean it out. So televising is a two-phase process. They're sending a camera, but they're also clearing out the thing. And any roots that have grown through there and broken up the pipe, they're gonna cut those too.
I just would really like to know what one of those clumps is composed of. Maybe
But, I mean, I wouldn't know what the test is, but maybe Bill does.
One huge misconception, it's a very common misconception, about what the wastewater, the incoming raw sewage looks like when it hits the plant. It basically looks like dirty dishwater. If you put it in a bucket, that's what you would see. It's gray, it might have some floating particles in it. You don't see clumps of feces at the plant. It dissolves and basically disperses in the water. So that's why when I first saw the pictures and there's clumps in there, I said that's a pretty good indicator. It's something not out of the plant. It's something that can be that got in that pipeline somehow or got washed out. So as it goes through the process, like I said, it basically looks like dirty dishwater.
Bill, I
And the
understand
fines-
exactly the process.
Yeah.
I really do.
Okay.
But I still would like to know what those clumps are composed of, like have it tested. I mean, I think all of us would like to know what they're composed of.
I don't know if there is, I would defer to these guys if there is a test. I don't know.
There's been numerous people out there in the boats. If somebody would take a bucket out and get it, we'll have you test it. So, I mean, I'm not out there, but I was out there today, taking pictures. Somebody was in a boat. If you're in a boat, you're going by there, and you see it, catch it and bring it to us. And we'll be happy to test it, give you a full report. Okay? That's all we
Is
can do,
there,
is just test
are
it.
you able to test a sample like that?
Yeah, basically they'll dissolve in water and
Yeah.
test for, like
Cross-
bacteria
it's
or
a broad,
solids or
broad test.
do a BOD test on it.
Me and Wayne went down there and did that. We took a plastic bottle with a lid on it. We took what was coming out of the pipe when people started talking about brown. What you're getting is you're putting this grease down your sink, right? How many people put grease down their sink? That's what you're getting.
Wasn't like that previously. So why
It's
is it like
always
that?
been like that.
No, it has not. I've been here 10 years. I've never seen it come out.
I've been here all
Okay,
my
okay,
life.
okay, we're answering questions, not criticizing. So, if you're in a boat, get a sample, we'll test it. We've tested one, we didn't find anything, we'll be happy to
If you
test it.
tested one, maybe the results could be made public, the official results.
Yeah.
Like, where did you get it from?
Randy tested it.
If you want, a private lab to test it, we'll test it. We'll give you the reports. We're all working together. We got a pipeline that's from the plant to the canal that's got problems. We gotta get that fixed. But first off, we gotta fix the plant before we start dealing with the pipeline, because that's gonna be a major deal, trying to figure out how to get into it, how to clean it, how to look into it, because cleaning pipelines is not if you have a pig holder in and a pig holder out, you get it done. If there's no
Any way
pig
you can
holders,
capture it at the
you
other
got a
end
problem.
where it's coming out?
What's that?
Any way you can capture it at the other end where it's coming out, so it doesn't?
No, I'm saying cleaning the pipe.
Pardon?
I'm saying cleaning the pipe, understanding
No, I
what's in the
understand,
pipe.
but while you're waiting for the plant to get fixed, that you can capture what's being put out through the pipe being cleaned.
We got a list of 15 things and do 15 first. And it's not a matter of us stopping the plant and going, jumping on that. We gotta make sure the stuff works right. So that's on the agenda, that's on the list.
I feel like y'all are doing a lot of things, and I'm really feeling like the communication is the biggest part of this whole problem. Because listening to you, you are responding, I feel like you're doing it, it's just that we don't know it. And I think that's, I feel better tonight, so, but if you, just like, what's your name? Minotti? Just like you saying you tested it, you did all that, you had Randy test it, my God, if we'd have just, we could know that. So communication, if we've learned nothing else tonight, or y'all seems like communication is a big issue.
We'll raise that to the top of our agenda, and so we'll will give you a report.
Help ease our
I'm saying, that's all we can do. We can rent an inspection equipment that can handle the flow going around it and run it back up the pipe and do inspection with a mapping system that'll probably cost us 30 grand. And we can tell you exactly what's in that pipe and we go back and do a contract. I'm saying that's the cost of that kind of stuff we do. That thing is available. We'll be happy to do it. It's just, it's not just looking in it. It's a very involved, it's an X-ray process, it's a mechanical, they test the metal process, they look at their cracks, they look at their breaks, they do an X-ray, it's involved. It's not just taking the flashlight and going up the top. And we're gonna be doing that, but it's not something we can do now because we've got three things that are happening. Okay, Lou, and then for 3 minutes, then we're closing.
Okay. Not to worry, Richard. I couldn't get on that Facebook page either.
Good.
Okay, Michael, the recording of last month's meeting will
Yes,
be
sir.
available when?
It's available upon open records request.
Oh, you're not gonna publish it? I thought that was required. Was I misinformed?
Yeah, the law is it's available upon open records request.
Oh, okay. How'd y'all come up with the number 40?
It's 25% of the capacity of the room,
Okay,
which is
so
registered at 200, I believe.
250.
250.
So I couldn't get the
Oh,
math
I
to
was
come
just
out on
told,
that.
but I instructed the board to follow the governor's order
At
at 25%
25%.
capacity, and also with a recommendation for PPE and social distancing, which is why you see the chairs here. And so that was just my instruction.
Yeah, well, I gotta have a meeting here shortly.
Yes, sir.
So, okay, so so it's the 25% rule that the governor's published.
Currently,
Okay,
now that's about to change, but yeah.
right. And do y'all have a emergency management director, or do you just have these emergency management preparedness plans and contracts? Or is it,
I'm not aware of a director, are you guys?
Not a single person director because
Yeah.
it's all based on, we all have equal ability to be a director, and it's all based on who's,
So you-
We have
who's
different
called, who's not called.
state promulgated authority.
Mhm.
So I know it's a little different than the cities.
Okay.
But any
Right.
director can authorize anything along with any hired consultant to a certain degree.
that's all, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. With that, we're gonna be, taking a 5-minute break and we'll go into executive session. So I appreciate, thank you for coming. Your input was very, very well appreciated. Thank you very much.